the obvious thing that the media seems to be putting out there about Le'Veon Bell and Adam Gase. And apparently, I guess Adam Gase held Le'Veon Bell out of one of the practices. I believe it was Thursday. Le'Veon Bell put some tweets on. Uh, Gase had said that he pulled him out because he had said he was experiencing tightness in his hamstring. It was more of a precautionary measure. Bell wanted to go back in to continue practicing. And apparently, I guess Bell put some tweets on there that, he wants to be the best in practice because that's going to help him be the best in game. Apparently, Adam Gase caught wind of it, was a little taken aback by it, and now it's creating an issue. Guys, I got to ask you, we'll start with Ryan, then we'll circle back around with Kevin. Really, I mean, is this what training camp reporting is now starting to be broken down to, where like now we have to overanalyze a player's tweets and we can't just get past a lot of this nonsense that normally happens with training camp?
Twitter is the greatest, worst invention of all time.
Yes.
It's right up there. I don't know. I can't even compare it to anything else. It's just so for any NFL player to even have a Twitter, you're pretty bold, in this day and age with people reading into things and stuff like that. But I think with Adam Gase and Le'Veon Bell, so weird to me. They go out, they get Le'Veon Bell, and then there was a lot of friction with Adam Gase and Le'Veon Bell. Wasn't there some friction during the season and some rumblings? Did Adam Gase really want Le'Veon Bell, or was it the GM that they had let go? So I don't know. I'm feeling like this is just going to recur, and they're just looking for any excuse to kind of come up with, not even from the media's perspective, but more so from the coach's perspective of the New York Jets, Adam Gase. It's like he's looking for reasons to kind of justify moving on from Le'Veon Bell, and it's like, guys, you're not moving on from Le'Veon Bell anytime soon. He's got a lot of guaranteed money on that contract.
Uh,
This is the
Kevin,
hard part for
I'm
me.
interested
Yeah,
to hear
no,
your
this
thoughts
is
on it before I chime in.
yeah. Excuse me. This is a hard part for me because I think Ryan touches upon something that I think probably doesn't go far enough. Um, Everybody's talking about giving these reasonings behind why Le'Veon Bell isn't getting the opportunities, or why he didn't have what it is that we hoped that he would have last season. And again, the Adam Gase question and how it is that his little weight on every scale within the organization when it comes to player personnel, when it comes to who gets brought in. If we're talking about the Balaj situation with the running back, and how it is that Le'Veon is either not or being used, bringing in Frank Gore per se, to boost our backfield when we have Bilal Powell available, who I think maybe has a little bit more in tank, and has already shown that he can be effective with what it is that we do, maybe for cheaper. The Adam Gase aspect of everything is going to drive me crazy because I already have questions about Adam Gase, and I already, I try every single week to not pound how much it is that I want Adam Gase out of here 2 years ago. Seriously. But this is a microcosm of why the issues that surround Adam Gase are going to stay until he is gone. Um, the conversation about Marcus May today being held out, I think that Adam Gase did that because he's trying to maybe downplay what it is that happened with Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell gets held out of practice. Adam Gase holds him back. Le'Veon says, this is the time where I need to be getting more, not getting less. The injury or the whatever it is that you're saying was the cause to hold me out wasn't
Right.
enough to stop me from practicing, and I need more practice. A lot of the injuries that we're seeing right now, does that mean that if it were a game that these guys wouldn't play? More than likely not. More than likely, these guys would be playing with some of the stuff that they have. Does that mean it's not bad? No. It just means that maybe how we view them should maybe, be pulled back just a little bit. Maybe we need to rein it in just a little bit because we're still unsure. At this point, we I don't want to over kind of play this, but until we actually get real football, legitimate football, these questions that it's going to be difficult for us to answer them because we really don't know what's on this guy's mind at this point in time. Would it be something that we would be talking about if it was a game? And there was a little bump or a little bruise, and a guy, who's saying that I want to go back in, I'm capable of going back in. Would Adam Gase pull him then, when it was actually meaningful football? Is that something that we would see? I don't know, man. Just to kind of wrap it up, just because I don't want to talk about this all day, and I do want to get Ryan's point on this, but I'm sick of Adam Gase. I want Adam Gase out of here so badly, but I'm willing at this point, obviously, to shut up until we give him an opportunity to see what it is that he can do this season. I just hope that he's learning from some of these things, and that this is going to be something that we're talking about every week. I'm so sick of having to deal with this. Please, can we just get to football, please?
Yeah, I agree to an extent, Kev. I really just think that whatever situation that's just out there going on between Adam Gase and Le'Veon Bell is being completely overblown. Like today, Marcus May felt a little bit of tightness in a hamstring. Gase pulled him out. May said he could have actually went back in. He had actually said that, he probably could have gone back in, and Gase had even mentioned that he probably could have sent him back in, but it was more a precautionary move. And he did the same thing with Le'Veon Bell earlier in the week. Now, it's as far as I'm concerned, I really just think these are just non-stories, and they're looking for anything to incite the fan base. I really do. Now, look, whether you like Adam Gase, whether you don't like Adam Gase, he's the New York Jets head coach, and it's ultimately his decision who's going to practice, who's not going to practice, and he's going to do what he feels is going to be in the best interest of the team. Now, whether or not you and I like that, you know what? There are some things that Adam Gase has done that I've been totally against, and I've been on this show and I've absolutely bashed him for it. But there are some things that he's done where I've been like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. I could understand why he did that. And I've given him his props where his props is due. But to me, I just think that all of this garbage that hits the pen to paper with there's a rift between Gase and Bell, and Gase didn't want Bell here, and that's why he brought in Frank Gore, and they're going to show Le'Veon Bell the door. I don't think so. I think that Frank Gore, and I'm actually going to pick Ryan's brain on Frank Gore, him being a former Buffalo Bill. I think that Frank Gore is going to add a dynamic element to this New York Jets backfield that we have not seen in a very, very long time. Okay? So I think that everyone just needs to pump the brakes, relax. Just like Kevin said, we all desperately need football right now. Let's not drive ourselves off a cliff with the latest article from Brian Costello or Rich Cimini or whoever has the pen and paper this week.
The pot stirrers.
Yeah, those guys, man.
Right.
Some of those names just make my skin crawl, right?
We got him in Buffalo, too. Oh, trust me. We got him in Buffalo, too. I can name names all day, but, I won't throw anyone under the bus. But, sometimes you have to. When there's these stories like this, it's like no one wants to hear negative thoughts. Jerry Sullivan in the Buffalo News, formerly of the Buffalo News. I don't know who he's writing for now. And from time to time, we have Vic Carucci, who sometimes writes some negative pieces that it's like, didn't they just win last week? Yeah. Isn't that what matters? Right. Winning, isn't that the goal?
You win. It's like last year, okay? Last year I got completely aggravated with the New York media. I'm sorry, Ryan, to kind of steal this.
No, you're good. You're good.
I promise I'll give it right back to you because I want to know what to look out for Frank Gore. I didn't forget that point. But when the Jets beat the Raiders 34-3, okay, they completely took the Raiders to the woodshed and completely dismantled them. And Adam Gase probably had one of his best games as a play caller, as a head coach, as the New York Jets head coach.
The Dallas victory as well.
Realize that not one person gave him an iota of credit. All they said was, oh, the Raiders were playing over their heads. Yeah. Oh, the Raiders were bound to lose sometime. Yeah, the Raiders were there. The Raiders were a playoff team last year, folks. Wake up. And the New York Jets smacked the absolute shit out of them at a 1:00 game in MetLife. No COVID-19, no excuses, nothing. Okay? The Raiders were a playoff team last year. I don't care if they were playing over their head, playing under their head, playing in the bed, playing on the side of the bed, playing in the bathtub, or whatever your excuse is going to be. They were in the playoff hunt. And they came to the East Coast, and they got smacked around in MetLife Stadium. Sam Darnold put on a clinic. Okay?
That's when he was getting picked up on fantasy teams.
Mention.
Yeah, right.
Not
Right.
one single mention. All we got was, really? So, I'm sorry, Ryan,
It's difficult to be a Jets fan. Difficult to be a Jets fan.
Hey, I mean, Buffalo is looked at as the left armpit of New York State. So it is what it is. We Thurman Thomas, the all-time great Buffalo Bill, said he thought Buffalo was in New York City. He's like, "Oh, I'm going to Buffalo with the snow, the Siberia of the NFL." Those were his exact words. It was pretty epic. You got to check that out on YouTube when you get the chance. But to go back to your Frank Gore question, Frank Gore, I don't know if Frank Gore will be a dynamic weapon in the offense, but in terms of a player knowing his role and knowing that he's a short down and distance back that can break for some semi-decent runs. Last year in Buffalo, you had Devin Singletary, you had Frank Gore, and you actually had LaShawn McCoy, who was a training camp casualty that Buffalo released and then got scooped up by KC. Now he's in Tampa Bay. And going in, they had Singletary and Frank Gore for the season. And I thought, man, I just don't think that was a good move. I thought that Devin Singletary and McCoy would have fed off of each other really well, with Frank Gore being like that RB3. But they go with Singletary, who's more of the flashy guy. They go with Frank Gore. And Gore did some really good things for the Buffalo Bills from like week 1 to like week 6 or 7. When the season started to change, as far as, and I will say this, it sounds crazy, but when the weather started to change and there was more wear and tear on the body for Frank Gore than virtually any other running back in the league, due to the fact that the guy just doesn't age and he hasn't gone away just yet. Frank Gore, you start to see the age. You start to see the player slow down a little bit. You start to see his role get a little bit diminished. For the New York Jets, they got to have Le'Veon Bell. They can have Frank Gore, and they can use Frank Gore, but they have to have somebody else. They can't lean on Frank Gore as a true RB2. That's not who he is anymore. And that's okay. He's still a pretty damn good back, and he's one of the best to ever do it.
Right. I'm thinking that the New York Jets are going to end up using Frank Gore as more of a situational back, and I think that that's really the reason why Adam Gase brought him in, because he was used more as a situational back when he was in Miami. Mm-hmm. So I think that Adam Gase probably has that idea, probably Darryl Loggins in his ear as well, saying that, you got the opportunity to bring in Gore. And then again, another knock on, players don't want to play for Adam Gase. Okay, well, Frank Gore signed with the New York Jets because of Adam Gase. Mm-hmm. So what's this? Players don't want to play for Adam Gase. Why? Because Jamal Adams pissed and moaned and got himself traded to Seattle. So, that's why I kind of have my thing about Adam Gase is that, look, I'm not a Gase guy, but you know what? He's the head coach of my football team, and I'm going to root for him to succeed, because if he comes in and the Jets make the playoffs, so they make a deep run, then you know what? I'm going to be happy that he's here. If this team goes 1-15 next year and the bottom completely falls out and Sam Darnold looks, like he's regressing instead of progressing, and the offense can't, find its way to put points on the board, then yeah, you have to ask the question, is Gase the guy? But right now, we really don't know anything. And I mean, the Jets finishing 7-9 last year, despite their schedule, whatever their schedule is, what their schedule was last year. And they still finished 6-2 in their last 8 games. They were the best in the AFC. So, that has to mean something. There has some progress that the Jets can, in fact, build up going into this upcoming season. So, like it or not, he's going to be here. And regardless of what I think about him personally or not, I want him to be successful here, because that means my football team is going to be successful.